West Virginia transfer Jonathan Powell has committed to North Carolina. Hubert Davis's first get of the offseason. Riley, our resident Tar Heel fan, he was somebody who you were hoping the Tar Heels were able to land. Now that they have, what do you make of the addition? What do you make of what he'll bring to the Tar Heels next season?
I would say he's like a low risk, high reward type of player because if the floor is so high, at the very least, with his addition, you have a 6'6" dude who played for a power conference team that had a good defense, that shot 35%, made 64 threes last year, and wasn't expected to do that. I mean, this is a three-star kid who was relatively unknown coming out of high school and really just got the opportunity when Tucker DeVries got hurt. And I
Mhm.
think bare minimum, he should be able to give you like 15, 20 minutes per game, and you can just count on him as a catch and shoot threat. I love that. I love he celebrates a lot after threes, which I love as well. But even beyond the floor, I think there probably is some upside here just because he's young. You know, he's probably got to get stronger. He doesn't really have much of a handle, didn't really get to the free throw line, but he just feels like again, a high four prospect you can add now, and it also shouldn't preclude you from going after another wing should you find one that you like, or it shouldn't preclude Drake
Mhm.
Powell from coming back if he chooses. I mean, I think the expectation is that he goes to the draft, but still will leave the door open to return. So, like, that doesn't preclude you from a more high level guy, and I would say just a floor raiser.
A Jonathan Powell, Drake Powell combo, just the pals back there would be pretty good.
UNC fans are hypothesizing about it already, calling it pow pow, and I want to see pow pow.
I'll refrain comment.
We
Um,
should go. We should go after Duncan Powell too, and just get the trifecta of pals. That would really make me happy.
yeah, that'll make you happy now until Duncan Powell's doing his Duncan Powell thing and Hubert Davis is just letting him ride.
Hubert Davis would definitely allow Duncan Powell to do Duncan Powell time.
But with Jonathan Powell, um, do you think he'll end up starting for UNC this season? I mean, he's got 3 years of eligibility left, so this is a transfer you make that's kind of like a freshman commit, like a high school
Hmm.
commit. He's going to be with your program for a while should things continue to go well. But this season upcoming, do you think he's more equipped and it's better for UNC if he's a starter, or is it better if he's coming off the bench?
I think ideally he would be a bench piece, like a sixth, seventh man type, where yeah, about 15, maybe a little 15 to 20 minutes per game. Who's just gonna be solid in like team defensive concepts and knock down his open shots. I just think there's a decent chance he's a starter based on like how many needs Carolina has. Like there's a very real chance they're replacing five starters. You know, we already know they're
Yeah.
replacing Elliot Cadeau, RJ Davis. Van Allen Lubin's expected back, but I mean with the Henry Vasar talk that's been coming out of Chapel Hill, it seems like Lubin will be in a backup role. You know, you have one of those starters for sure with Caleb Wilson to where to my knowledge, it seems like the only real like wing target on their board right now, aside from Jonathan Powell, is Cannon Catchings, who is a wild card in his own right. I think with Catchings, the vision could be you start him and with the hope that he like realizes his potential and lives up to that upside that made him a top 50 kid and had him on draft boards. I think Gavoni had him as a late first rounder going into the season, which I honestly think that would be a really good pairing. I think if you like Catchings he is a wild card. You've seen the flashes, but we also saw him completely follow the rotation at BYU down the stretch, and BYU was awesome without him. Like you have to acknowledge that part of Cannon Catchings as well. But that's why I think if you're still going to pursue him, adding someone like Powell makes a lot of sense. Who you know you can probably not going to fill it up like. He can probably give you 15 points on any given night, but more settles into like a not like 8 to 10 points per game type of output again. But yeah, I just think he's because of his shot making, he can fit into a variety of lineups and at least gives you something to fall back on if you don't get any more high level targets on the perimeter.
Yeah, the way I'm looking at it is I don't think he starts if Drake Powell comes back.
Oh yeah, for sure. Drake
If
would
Drake
start.
if Drake Powell is gone and Ian Jackson comes back, I see like the two of them starting at your two and your three.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll start obviously if Ian Jackson leaves along with Drake Powell. But I think Drake Powell is the only person who would be like for sure ahead of him in the depth
Mm-hmm.
chart. Even if Catchings bring comes in or another three kind of player comes in with higher upside and more potential, what Powell gives you as a 3 and D guy I think is valuable to UNC's system, the way UNC wants to be. Then you can bring Catchings or whoever else in off the bench to be more primarily focused offensively, be more of a scorer, and have that be their role. Playing time be about equal, but Powell's versatility, Jonathan Powell's versatility, I think allows him to be a little bit more malleable and be able one of those guys who can make plays without having plays drawn up for him, right? And
Mhm.
that's invaluable. And you often see those guys get starting roles over some others because of their low maintenance. They're low maintenance players. Now, do you make anything of the fact that he shot below 38% from the field last year? He shot well from three, over 35%, made two
Yeah.
makes per game,
Yep.
but overall was not the most efficient player in the world. Given that North Carolina's offense is not always the most efficient anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
is that any concern?
I think that is a real concern just to get him find a role for him and get comfortable with it. Like I mean, maybe just there is a freshman to sophomore leap there where we see him refine his handle a little bit and get to like a develop a mid range game or be able to shoot more like pull up jumpers or something. I just like wouldn't bank on that if I was UNC. Like part of why I think he is a good ad, and again going back to like the low risk high reward, played for a top six defense this past year per Torvik, which again I like there's that defensive component and even with like if Caleb Wilson ends up being the centerpiece of this UNC team, or if it's like Caleb Wilson and Henry Vasar, let's say they're like a front court focused team. If you put shooters around them, I think that works out pretty well. Because like the thing that separates Wilson that makes him an elite prospect, aside from his defensive tools, is like his playmaking as a 6'10", like a 6'10" forward.
Mm-hmm.
Where I could see like yeah, putting shooters around him would definitely be a wise thing to do. But yeah, I like you don't really want Jonathan Powell handling. You don't really. I mean, it'd be nice if he could attack the basket a little bit more. Like he literally attempted 25 free throws last year, which is insanely low for as many minutes as he got.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's all about probably role allocation and expectations. Like if you're just if he knows he's going in there to knock down spot up threes, knock down threes in transition, maybe you can run some stuff for him and have him coming off of like pin downs or in Carolina loves running like a little empty wide flare action that they got for like RJ and Ian a ton. Maybe you see him like be have stuff created for him in actions like that. But yeah, as a whole, I would say my expectations for Powell are to play. I guess it depends on if Drake comes back and if they get another wing, but I guess somewhere 15 to 25 minutes a game and mainly be like a not necessarily yeah essentially like a 3 point specialist. Yeah, I would say like a high end 3 point specialist.
I think that's it too. Like focus on your 3 point shooting, be a 3 and D guy. Anything else you offer is great, but I don't think there's also going to be, or I would hope there would not be as much pressure for him to create offensively as there was at times for West Virginia. Because after the Vries injury, it was Javon Small and who can do something. UNC should not be that. Now he picked the
They
Tar
might
Heels.
though. There's definitely a chance based on
There
they have like no guards right now.
that would be a concern. And if that was the case, Powell's efficiency is one of the least of your worries. So he did pick North Carolina over Ole Miss and Ohio State. Those were the other two finalists. Can you read anything into that? Maybe some momentum for UNC on the recruiting trail with the portal. There's probably good bits of playing time offered at both Ole Miss and Ohio State. So does that give you any indication of maybe what Hubert Davis wants him to be, or maybe what he was told during the recruitment process?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not entirely sure. I would guess like he probably sees with or without Drake, there should be a lot of minutes available on the perimeter. And I mean, I think it is good in terms of momentum that like, I mean, Ole Miss is coming off a Sweet 16 run, and maybe Chris Beard's uncertainty there was part of it, but I mean, Beard is, I would say this year like reminded people that he is a great coach. Let me be unequivocally clear. This is not an endorsement of his off the court actions that are detestable. Um, but yeah, like he is a really good coach. And Ole Miss, I think, had some momentum off of their run. And then Ohio State's the hometown school to where it's like, okay, like, it's not like winning a battle against Kentucky and Duke, but it's nice to get a guy like this and to at least get it started. You have to the
Yeah.
dead period starts on Thursday. I need Carolina to have at least two commitments by then, maybe more. So yeah.
Asking for a lot.
Okay,
Asking for a
just let
lot
me
there.
let me get Vasar and I'm cooling.
There you
I'm
go.
chill.
There you go.
Chill.
Last thing, what's his stat line look like in the next season?
I bet it looks very similar to what it did at West Virginia. I'll bump him up and say 9 points a game and shoots. We'll say 40% from three on like 70 makes. That would be a huge success if he gets that. His shot looks really good. Like his form is
Yeah.
pure. So love that we get him going. Like you get that going into a second year, a guy who looked that good shooting in the Big 12. Pretty good ad.
It is March, and that means that March Madness is upon us. And if you are looking for a place to play, Underdog Fantasy has you covered. Sign up and deposit using code SLEEPERS, that's code SLEEPERS, to receive up to $1,000 in bonus credit plus a free pick. Head over to Underdog Fantasy today and use promo code SLEEPERS to take advantage of this amazing offer.